Convicted by the Supreme Court for illegally acquiring guns from the men responsible for the 1993 serial blasts. Sentenced to 5 years of imprisonment under the Arms Act. When actor Sanjay Dutt walked into the Yerwada jail on 16th May 2013, his friends, family and fans were disappointed. But what followed was a vacation at the expense of the exchequer. During his 5-year prison term, he was granted a parole of 120 days and a furlough of 44 days. The celebrity perks didn't quite end there. Owing to his good behavior, he was granted a remission of 144 days and let out in February 2016.
लास्ट टाइम जो एडवोकेट जनरल ने जो समरी फाइल किया था संजय दत्त के बारे में, जो उनके पैरोल और फरलों के जो डेट्स उन्होंने दिए थे, और जो लास्ट ईयर जो एफिडेविट फाइल हुआ था जेल अथॉरिटी का, उसके अंदर बहुत सारी डिस्क्रिपेंसीज कोर्ट को पाई गई है.
The Bombay High Court has pulled up the Maharashtra government, asking them to justify their decision to allow the 57-year-old actor to leave the jail 8 months early.
It is to be noted that in the month of June this year, the Bombay High Court had upheld the state government officials and the jail officials at the Yerwada jail of giving the actor Sanjay Dutt frequent paroles, furloughs during his tenure at the Yerwada jail.
A convicted criminal given a long rope because of his celebrity status. So on the urban debate tonight, we ask, will Sanjay Dutt return to jail if the government fails to explain his early release? Or are these VVIPs above the law? Mirror Now report.
Well, there's a lot of talk really about special treatments that are given to either people who are famous, powerful or rich inside of our jails. But the Maharashtra government today being represented in the High Court saying that it has no problem sending Sanjay Dutt back to jail if the court decides that there were any rules that were broken. The question that we have to ask right now, is there special treatment in jails? Is the VVIP racism problem that we face every day in our lives, does that also play out in jail? And what level of corruption are we looking at right now? Joining me on the show this evening, Shaina NC National Spokesperson of the BJP, Vikram Singh, former DGP Uttar Pradesh, Ramakanth Gaur, lawyer with the Supreme Court, Dhanraj Vanjari, former IPS officer, joining us in Mumbai, Swapnil Kothari, senior lawyer, Abha Singh, advocate and activist, will join us through the course of this conversation, and Nitin Satpude is the lawyer and advocate petitioner for the petitioner in this particular case, currently being heard by the Bombay High Court. Nitin, I'm going to start with you. Tell us. Obviously, you believe that there were massive discrepancies that took place in this particular case.
There are massive discrepancies in this parole, furlough, and remission. Remission has been granted on the basis of the good behavior. There is no any criteria. Who has decided that he behaved good in the inside of the jail?
What does good behavior inside of jail mean for our audience that doesn't understand it?
Good behavior means he has to do some social work inside of the jail. Mere working as an ordinary prisoner, that is not a good behavior. Okay. State has stated in the affidavit that he has worked as like a other prison. That means he has a good behavior. They have stated in the affidavit that he behaved good as he worked properly. In the work was given to assigned to him, and he has completed that work. That means it's a good behavior. And there are many discrepancies on in the parole and furlough. So special treatment has been given to him. His applications of parole and furlough was considered at the same time. He has moved both the application at the same time, and same time it has been considered. They cannot consider both the application at the same time. He has to move one application for parole. After completion of this parole, he has to go on leave and he has to return. And again he has to make second application for furlough. And then he has to again go and again return in time. First time he has jumped the 2 days. He was released 1 day prior to the day sanction. Government has sanctioned his date, and he returned 1 day later. There were 2 days delay in earlier parole. There was 2 days delay in the second parole. There was a 4 days delay. Admittedly, there was a 2 day delays in the furlough, but there was a 4 day delays.
Right.
They are counting. So their mathematics is wrong.
So while this is interesting for our audience because it's Sanjay Dutt, I'm also going to break a lot of things down because you're using a lot of legal terms that our audience is not going to understand. Vanjari Sahab, if you can explain to us what is the difference between parole and furlough for a prisoner?
Parole is just for some reasons. And furlough is for the better reasons.
Okay.
If somebody is sick and somebody is critical and his release and going and meeting the relations is very much necessary, considering his human rights to keep intact. Suppose on the last stage of a mother or father or a daughter, that is what he has done in this case, Sanjay Dutt. Once he has gone on parole where he took the cause of sickness of his wife.
Yes.
Second time he took cause of sickness of his daughter. Which
Yes.
Both the things were considered very serious, but either there is some gametes, there is some jugglery of the words he played with jail authority. I think honestly, if parole would have been twice, then there would have been some question. So once he used another term just to divulge the intention of the authorities or the eye catchers, and second time he used furlough. Basically speaking, there is a very technical and very marginal difference between two. Just a matter of gratitude, nothing much beyond that.
And are you, you're saying allowed to apply for both at the same time? Obviously, if you're saying use different terms, jail authorities are not, I mean, they're not stupid. They know the difference.
You can apply it at the same time. There is no clear-cut provision under the law that after one disposal you can do a second application or this thing. But basically, it is up to the legal and moral standard of the jail authorities to verify that why this man is doing it. And if there is a prima facie some malpractice he is trying to play with them, they should take care of it, particularly the higher authorities who is there in jail administration, they should take note of this.
Who grants either, parole or furlough?
Parole is not right. Furlough is a right. Parole is granted if there is, as per the clause 19 and 18 and 19, there in the jail manual. If somebody is ill, seriously ill, somebody is died, in that case, he has to apply for the parole and government sanctions his parole for that particular purpose. Furlough is a right. Furlough is right means he has to stay with his family,
Yes.
that he should not be away from his family.
But let's say Shaina NC has joined us right now, national spokesperson of the BJP. Shaina NC, the government of Maharashtra being represented in the Bombay High Court, saying that you have no problem sending Sanjay Dutt back to prison if the court decides that rules were broken.
Let me at the outset say, Faye, that the Maharashtra state government doesn't sit on judgment to suggest that one prisoner's conduct is good or one prisoner's conduct is bad or one prisoner should be given furlough or parole or should not. That is the prerogative of the jail authorities and the DG prisons. Now, the Maharashtra state government, you're right, today when the Honorable Court said that there could be some kind of review in this particular case, we haven't agitated or said that we want to go in any kind of appeal. We respect the law, we respect what the courts have to say. And if there has been an oversight by the jail authorities for reasons best known to them or the DG prisons, I'm sure that too is something which would come out in the public domain. But there has not been any preferential treatment to Sanjay Dutt on behalf of the government. The government is clear. We are not here to sit on every single case and say that, this person should be released early or this person should be kept longer. That is not our domain, and it's not a matter of interference, but I think it's a matter of perception. And the perception is clear that the Maharashtra state government does not back anyone who is a VIP or a non-VIP or a celebrity or a non-celebrity. It has its independent way of functioning in accordance
then in that
with law.
In that case, if there does turn out to be an oversight or some sort of preferential treatment that was given, and you said by jail authorities here, will those jail authorities be investigated thoroughly to find out why preferential treatment was handed out in this particular case?
I beg your pardon? Why is preferential treatment?
No, you said
this
is purely the decision of the jail authorities. Will these jail authorities be investigated then if the court decides that rules were broken?
Absolutely, if the court decides and the court does direct the Maharashtra state government, we will act in accordance with the law and in accordance with what the Honorable Court say. Please do understand that Devendra Fadnavis, as Chief Minister, has said on record that there has been no interference from the state government. We adhere to the court's guidelines and suggestions both, and we are not here to plead the case of Sanjay Dutt or anybody else. If there is a prisoner whose conduct is good or not good, that is not decided by the state government. It is decided by the jail authorities. And let's please keep it that way. Why have this kind of interference or preferential treatment for anybody?
Absolutely. Now, Abha Singh joins us right now. Abha Singh is an advocate and an activist. Abha Singh, do you believe Sanjay Dutt was given preferential treatment?
Of course, 100%. And now when the Chief Minister says that they did not interfere, let me tell you, jail comes under Home Department and Home is with the Chief Minister Devendra Fadnavis. And when at that time there was such a media hue and cry, activists were screaming their lungs out, I am sure the Chief Minister would be reading the papers and watching television. It was his duty to have ensured and asked that why 8 months remission is being given. Today, when the Bombay High Court is beating them up hollow, when it is pushing them to the wall, then the CM says, okay, if there is an issue, we will send him back to the jail. Is it a joke? There is a law of the land. If you are giving remission, there has to be a rule for that. There are more than 400 people who have good behavior from all over Maharashtra, but nobody was given remission. And here you have 4 months parole furlough, on top of that 8 months remission. In fact, Justice Jadhav asked that even when he was out, when was he in the jail for you to decide that it was good conduct? How do you decide what is good conduct? And second, was he there in the jail that you could decide his behavior? So it has been absolutely blatant corruption, which can be seen in Manjula Shetty's murder in Baikala jail. Two murder convicts have escaped from Thane jail. Corruption is rampant in jail. And even what ahead, the Bombay High Court asked them that did it go through the DIG or you straight away sent it to the governor? And let me tell you, the governor has to act on the advice of the Council of Ministers, which is headed by Devendra Fadnavis. So Chief Minister cannot escape by saying that we did not interfere. Shaina may say that he did not interfere, but why did he not interfere when such gross irregularity was being done by the jail department, which comes under the Chief Minister?
Shaina NC, please respond.
Faye, I want to say clearly, the Chief Minister is not going to interfere or be involved in every single case. I mean, you have thousands of prisoners, some of whom are released early, some of whom are not. Are we debating on every individual, or is it only because it is a high-profile case of Sanjay Dutt? And where have we gone to challenge any finding of the honorable courts? If at all we are saying we are completely in agreement with the courts, and whatever the court suggests, the state government will do. You cannot put the onus on the Chief Minister for everything. This is not a case of any kind of corruption, because that is a different allegation altogether. This is an allegation made which suggests that the jail authorities gave preferential treatment, whether it's furlough or whether it is, parole, to Sanjay Dutt, which need to be reviewed. If there are systemic flaws,
respond to the fact that Abha Singh just said that the Chief Minister, being the Home Minister of the state, is directly responsible.
We are not going to interfere.
And this is an eye-to-eye fight right now between the two ladies. Abha Singh,
because when he was given,
state, he has said whatever the Bombay High Court finds, if rules are flouted. One minute, what has he said? If rules are flouted.
No, why if rules were flouted, and it was the duty of the government at that time to have refused remission. The world was watching, the country was watching. It is a very sensitive case involving Bombay blast where 270 people lost their lives. And in that case, you are leaving a person, giving him 8 months remission, and you say, if the court wants, we will send him back. No, the court is asking you on what parameters you left him. What was good conduct? How do you decide good conduct? And when he is out for his wife's surgery and he's partying, even that report was not called back. And the gross irregularity which is happening in jails all over, and preferential treatment was given because of the money exchanged hands, rather than
contrary to what Abha is saying. We don't hold the plea or the case of Sanjay Dutt or anybody.
You have to reply. Now when the Bombay High Court has... No, when you were pushed to the wall, then you are saying, okay, let him go back. But the issue is, it does not exonerate you of the folly, of the wrongness that has been committed by letting Sanjay Dutt out 8 months before. You give me a list of
where is the case of interfering when there is a due process of law which is followed by the jail authorities?
Have you taken action? Have you taken action against any jail authority? Have you taken any action against jail authorities? On what grounds he was given remission? Who briefed the governor to give sign on the dotted line?
Okay, all right. Let me ask Shaina NC this question, and I'm just taking forward what Abha Singh just said. As incapacity as Home Minister and Chief Minister of the time, when there was a lot of questions being raised about Sanjay Dutt being released from jail early, was there officially a question raised by the Chief Minister to the jail authorities asking them why? If you follow due process, why was this person released early? Because in his capacity as Home Minister is fully within his rights and his duties to do so. Did he ask?
Let me please say on record, the Maharashtra state government did not interfere. There was
but it was their duty to interfere.
Preferential treatment given. This is not a celebrity versus non-celebrity debate. No, I do concede that there is a process of law. Please understand, the jail authorities have a manual which guides them.
But the jail authorities report to the Home Ministry.
If we had intervened or interfered, you would say, how nosy is your government?
No, I would never say that. Shaina NC, you've been on my shows long enough to know that I would never accuse the government of doing their jobs.
My point is, the government is in no defiance mode and is not holding the plea for Sanjay Dutt. Please, we have other serious issues to take on, and those serious issues the Chief Minister is addressing. Now, if the Supreme Court granted him bail in 2007, or if the Supreme Court sent him to jail for 5 years, those reforms need, yes, I agree with you, Abhaji, that is what we need to be discussing, jail reforms. And we need to...
this is a part of reform,
Shaina NC, this is a sign. This is a dead giveaway of corruption in the jail. Since both Shaina and Abha Singh agree on jail reforms, let me point out that this is a dead giveaway that our jails are corrupt. Look at all over the country, whether we're talking about Manjula Shetty's murder/death, which is still being investigated, whether we're talking about Sasikala and the kind of treatment she received in the Agrahara in Bangalore, or we're talking about the Yerwada prison. In this particular case, there seems to be a pattern here of VVIPs receiving preferential treatment. And while you say the Chief Minister has not, interfered, he should have intervened at some point as Home Minister and asked that question. He should have asked the jail authorities, what are your reasons? Vikram Singh, these were the reasons for good behavior. Good behavior, discipline and participation in various institutional activities like physical training, education programs and performing allotted work. Does that account as good behavior, Vikram Singh, in your opinion?
Faye, I see nothing unusual. Beauty lies in the eyes of the beholder. If I choose to see all the beauty in Sanjay Dutt, what is the compelling reason for me to apply the rule of law? Justice must not only be done, but must seem to be done. And in this case, the scales of justice are tilted heavily in case of Sanjay Dutt. There has to be a speaking, logical, cogent and a transparent written order explaining the reasons why Sanjay Dutt was released. Obviously, a person accused of the most horrific crime that Mumbai has seen in recent decades, convicted by the Honorable Supreme Court, yet the Maharashtra government has sufficient reasons to release him on parole. They are terminally ill patients of HIV, of cancer in Mumbai prisons, but they were not let off, in spite of the fact. There's a simple question: how many applications of terminally ill patients were denied and declined, and Sanjay Dutt was given the remission? Show me the man and I will show you the rules. Obviously, somebody is working overtime to facilitate his departure from the jails. And it is very simple to say that I wash my hands. Every case cannot be evaluated and apportioned to the CM. But how can the Chief Minister absolve himself or wash his hands off the case of any maladministration, miscarriage of justice happening in his domain? It is his moral and legal responsibility to intervene. and asking harmless and innocent questions of the High Court. If the court finds any fault, the very fact that the High Court has questioned you and you have the audacity to answer back to the High Court, I think is sufficient reason for you to introspect and see where you stand when it comes to probity, transparency and implementation of the rule of law.
Ramakanth Gaur, one of our viewers has left us a message on involve.in saying that this really makes me lose faith in the judiciary. And I still want to be able to spell this out for our audience. Whose responsibility is it when there is a prisoner of any kind being let off early, being sent out, on parole or furlough, which is fundamentally just leave. You go home and you come back for a little while. There was one instance of a photograph of a party that Sanjay Dutt was seen at while he was supposed to be out on parole because his wife was very unwell. And people question, why wasn't the administration paying closer attention? Ramakanth Gaur, whose responsibility is it to make these decisions? Is it just the jail authorities? Are they empowered to that point?
See, the authority of the state to consider every prisoner as equal is enshrined in Constitution. Article 14 of the Constitution talks about the equality of all the citizens, and it is applicable to the inmates as well. In this particular case, parole was not only granted once, but it was extended twice. So you do not surrender after the completion of 30 days. Your parole is extended automatically. This was not seen by the state government. They are simpliciter. They are eschewing to admit their own responsibility and shifting it to the jail administration. The answer is emphatic no. They cannot do that. Media is inundated with such reports that Sanjay Dutt is being given preferential treatment. Where was the higher-ups, higher bureaucracy, and the ministers and the chief minister were sleeping? They were not taking any cognizance of that. They woke up only when High Court took cognizance and issued the notice. Now they are coming up with a plea. If something wrong has been happened, and there is if, that they are not certain even today. The notice was issued later, petition was filed earlier. They would not woke up at the time of, they got the advance notice of the petition. They woke up only when High Court issued notice.
Here's the question we have to ask. So on one hand, Shaina NC maintains that the government did not interfere. But does did not interfere amount to also turning a blind eye?
They were sleeping over the issue. If they say, they acclaim it today that the Home Minister stroke Chief Minister were not taking any action, even this inaction is not judicious, and this is beyond the parlance of the jurisdiction.
After having heard all the panelists, on all this, very, very crucial issue, I think what I would like to say here is that if there has been an oversight by the jail authorities, then it's a very convenient oversight, in my opinion. As far as the furlough aspect is concerned, it's a matter of right. It's surprisingly only 44 days. It's annually 14 days, so it should be 70 days. But surprisingly only 44 days, so it's less. But parole really, really oversteps in the amount of days. Out of 1,825 days that he was supposed to spend in jail, 164 days he's been out. Now, that's, quite alarming in this aspect. And to say that, the Chief Minister, who has taken the oath of the Constitution, under the Constitution, and to uphold Article 14, as Ramakanth pointed out, and the only rights that the inmates lose is the freedom of movement, the fundamental right to move inside the jails. They have all the other fundamental rights attributed to them, and they are entitled to that. So now, obviously, the aspect is now. May I finish, please? May I finish? I did not interrupt anybody let me finish, Shaina, please. May I finish? So the point is that when the fact remains that all the other inmates have that right. Now, one of the major aspects here, what has happened is that all the rules have been flouted, and the very fact that the state government before the court comes and says that if the rules have been flouted, we'll send him back to jail. The statement from their side should have been, no rules have been flouted, and there is no question of looking at it. The very fact that there is some sort of a self-admitted guilt before the High Court clearly indicates that there has been favoritism.
Let me take that back to Shaina. Shaina, so did the government also, in its need to not interfere, turn a blind eye and effectively not pull up corrupt jail officials?
if a rule has been flouted, right, wrong or otherwise, and if the honorable courts feel that a rule has been flouted, what is the option ahead of the Maharashtra state government? To sit in denial and say, no, we did no wrong, which is the incorrect thing to do. And the right thing to do is to say we respect the law and we respect what the honorable court's findings are, and we will initiate a probe and an inquiry because there is no person in Maharashtra government that is holding a plea for Sanjay Dutt or any other prisoner. If at all, we have only gone in accordance with the jail manuals, and if that is wrong, that also needs to be re-looked at in the days to come.
Before or after the High Court judgment? Would you please specify that?
Exactly. There cannot be any
You want
probe.
to take action after
the High Court has already probed this now.
Or pass some against verdict? Or you want to take action prior to that?
You know, the actual proof of this, Abha Singh, will be if there are other prisoners who received same treatment.
You can continue to pounce. The fact is that if we were giving preferential treatment, we would have said, no, this is the reason and the logic, and gone into appeal. We didn't do that.
So were there other prisoners who received the same treatment? Was this part?
You left him. You because wanted to help him. You wanted to help Sanjay Dutt. That is why you all kept quiet when everybody raised that issue.
Nobody wanted to help anybody. Not at all. Not at all. We didn't interfere at all because this was always a high-profile case.
Why was it given?
We didn't interfere in any way.
See, what does Prevention of Corruption Act say?
It's not the state government that gives judgment on conduct of people.
Anybody for whatever gratification is corruption.
It's not for the government to sit on judgment of whether somebody is a good prisoner or not, whether somebody should be let loose early or not.
Today the High Court was told.
It's not us. It's
today the High Court was told that there were 400 people whose recommendations had come for good conduct. When there were 400 people whose good conduct was certified by different jails in Maharashtra, then why were they not given? Why only Sanjay Dutt was given preferential treatment? That is the question. And there you have no answers. Had High Court not raised this issue, you would have kept quiet. Would you have then gone and investigated? It was the duty of the government to have found out. Yes. And that too, earlier also, Bombay High Court, Nagpur bench of Bombay High Court had expressed displeasure that why was he getting parole and furlough every time. In fact, they had requested the courts that they had requested the jail authorities that you maintain a list. Let there be transparency. Let there be by turn. But even today, the jail maintains no manual, no register. They are not at all transparent. Everybody knows there is rampant corruption.
Yeah. And so Dhanraj Vanjari, former IPS officer in Maharashtra, how important is it for the government to pull up the police and say, why has this been done? This seems unfair. Should there have been a question asked by the Home Minister at the time?
I think Home Ministry has totally failed here to discharge the responsibilities properly. Home Minister should know this is a celebrity case, and not only that, he should also understand that from such a heinous conspired crime, bomb blast, he was segregated and absolved of all other charges and only retained to the charge of possession of weapon because he said, I just like the weapons and I took the weapon. I was a team of his arrest, ma'am. That time, his good behavior was not at all estimated by anybody. He see a lorry full of weapon and RDX in his house, and he is taking some weapon just as a luxury to him, person, in a personal capacity. Has he not felt at that point of time to inform at least 100 police control room or any police officer saying that such a kind of things are there? This, how it can be without his knowledge? What kind of good behavior you are talking about? Whose good behavior you are talking about? And if now today's High Court is giving them the whips, you are thinking everybody is blind, we don't know that, we want to follow the rules. De facto, you need to follow the rules. And not only that, you cannot pretend ignorance of law is not a plea over here. We don't know this, we were not aware of this. We are treating them at par like other criminals. Definitely not. He is the person, celebrity, right from beginning, right from his arrest. He has been given some or other advantages, preferences, and this is in the knowledge of every countryman of this country. Not only, and how can Home Ministry say ki this has not happened, it was not brought. Now there is going to be a dead end, I am telling you. Home Ministry will shirk the responsibility on jail authority. They will say it is jail authority on whose report and recommendation we have granted his release. Now jail authority, after this judgment of High Court, state government will ask them to give us the report. Will they be contravening their own report? Definitely not. There would be a dead end, and some point of time, High Court will have to pass an order to set up an independent judicial commission to make inquiry in this matter. Then only this real proper legal procedure and justice, fair justice would be done in this society.
So what you're saying, Mr. Vanjari, is that given the nature of the case, the nature of the crime, not only should the government have intervened, the government should have kept a special eye on this particular prisoner to make sure that no rules were broken.
Owing their responsibility to we the people of India, government is bound to discharge that responsibility. That why this is happening with this man, how he is going on parole, how he is going on furlough, how he has been given this day's concession. Has it been given to any other prisoner?
Right.
Has the government verified that record? Has the government asked the jail authority? No. If these people would not have gone to High Court, what would have been the state of affairs? Everything is well going on.
Yeah.
So there is definitely failure on behalf of the government, and today's government confession in the court, that should have been actually a confession of guilt. Yes, we are guilty. The statement of home government saying that we will send him to the jail if he finds guilty, that itself is a confession of their own guilt. And they must admit it.
That's right.
Right, Swapnil?
And to add to what Mr. Vanjari is saying, the fact remains that today, but for the petitioner sitting next to me and but for his petition, the High Court would not have been probing into this issue. So that means it's an abdication of responsibility by the state government. It's a clear abdication of responsibility that the state government should not have interfered, but it should have intervened and asked that when Sanjay Dutt was prancing around during the New Year time outside, there was a big hue and cry, and that's pushed him back into the jail. So why was he out during the New Year at that point in time, and why so many paroles? So this is something fair. And just to add to what Mr. Vanjari is saying, another point that I don't think there will be a need for any judicial commission. The records will itself show that the rules have been flouted, and the High Court will, in its infinite wisdom, order an appropriate cancellation of that remission and probably send him back to jail if the rules appear to have been flouted.
Right. So we have a question as well. Who is at fault? We need to know who the final authority is here. Shaina NC, are you telling me the government's point of view right now? Oh, okay, she can't hear us right now. We're going to try and get that audio back. Vikram Singh, same question from our viewer. Who is at fault? Is it the jail authority that finally makes the decision? Is it the Home Ministry? Is it the governor? Who's the final person who signs on that sheet saying, okay, we'll let him out of jail 8 months early because this qualifies, performing allotted work qualifies as good behavior? Who's the person who should be, who we should be demanding an answer from right now?
Faye, you have such experienced advocates and police officers on the panel. I would say the governor is just a signing machine. The jail authority, they were facilitated and they were customized into making a report that suited somebody in power and in the government. The jail authorities also wrote and signed on the dotted line and gave a report which the government wanted. And all of us know how it happens. The second thing, as Mr. Vanjari had said, he's an experienced investigator. Getting AK series weapons and getting it from questionable sources, RDX, what more do you expect from the most hardened criminal? And to have been convicted by the Supreme Court of India, to have a customized report made by the jail authorities, they are guilty, number one. But those who facilitated it are also guilty under 120B of the IPC, because it is under their directions, perhaps a serious inquiry or investigation would reveal that who are the critical players and who were pulling the strings. And thus you see that there are two people in this orchestra, those who obeyed their masters' voices and the masters who dictated illegal and illegitimate orders to facilitate the release of Sanjay Dutt.
Who is the master who dictated the illegal order? Nitin?
In this matter, actually, I want to explain how the preferential treatment is given to Sanjay Dutt. There is a list prepared by the state government, furlough and parole. There are 27,740 convicts in the Maharashtra prisons. They are suffering from the HIV, TB and many other diseases. But government is not considering for parole and furlough and remission.
For any of them.
Right. Manjula Shetty, she was died. She also has a good behavior. It is because she was awarded as a warden. She was appointed as a warden. It means she has a good behavior, but she was not considered. Now Sanjay Dutt, there is a list of parole and furlough. The Sanjay Dutt serial number was 203 for furlough, but he was considered at 10 by skipping the old person. There is a list with me. And there is a list of parole. His number was 238 in the serial, but he was considered at serial number 28 by skipping the old person. And what happened? When he has jumped this parole, the proposal was put up before the district magistrate.
How serious is it to jump parole? Where you're given leave and you're told, come back and surrender on this date, and you actually show up 2 days later?
Sorry?
How serious is that?
It's serious because if one day he jumps, there is a case has to be registered against him. That is punishable offence, for punishable up to 2 years. That is punishable offence. But government has not registered any FIR against him. Government has sanctioned these 2 days. Jail authority has put a proposal to punish him before the district judge at Pune. District judge has disapproved their proposal. Therefore, they put up this proposal before the principal secretary. Principal secretary of the state has approved his 2-day delays, and the delay has been condoned.
Principal secretary of the state. Shaina NC, that is the state government. The principal secretary of the state that has approved his 2-day delay and jumping of parole. So at some point, this did come to Mantralaya. It did wind up on the table of the principal secretary. It did come to the state government. The state government has, if not allowed for it or facilitated it, at least turned a blind eye.
Oh, no, they facilitated.
It is mentioned on the affidavit in the court.
That the principal secretary approved it.
Yes.
That the principal secretary approved it. You know, Abha Singh, I love that question that one of our viewers from Jabalpur wrote on our screen, which is, who's at fault? Who's the final person? Is it the Chief Minister / the Home Minister? Who is the final person who has to take this home with them tonight?
It is the Home Department. Jail is governed by the Home Department, and at the moment the Home Minister charge is with Chief Minister. Earlier we used to always have a Home Minister, we used to have a Deputy CM, but this Chief Minister Devendra Fadnavis has centralized the police under him. So when you have taken the charge, it is your duty to see, and today that is why he is saying if there are problems I would send him back, because he doesn't want him to be found guilty, which is very much so. When there was such an outroar, there were people were upset, there were petitions filed, and it was not a simple offence. It was pertaining to bomb blast. And in a bomb blast convict, you are giving him, even though he was convicted for Arms Act, but that Arms Act, possession of arms, in fact, had he been a responsible citizen, he would have informed the local authorities. There are chances that the bomb blast could have been avoided. In fact, for that same arm, there were people who were charged under TADA. The people who took that gun from his house were charged under TADA. And such person you give remission? Why have you not taken action against the jail authorities who gave him remission or who recommended his remission? Not a single action has been taken against the jail authorities. I think they have blessings from the government. That is why there is so much rampant corruption in the jail. In fact, Bombay High Court has again expressed displeasure against the crime branch of Mumbai for trying to destroy evidence in Manjula Shetty murder case. The court has said that the crime branch is trying to help the jail authorities. So everything is hand in glove, and only when, how much can the court do? What is the government there for? Mr. Fadnavis has been doing everything wrong, but nobody raises the voice, and now because there is total majority in this state, and when the court come in, they say, okay, fine, we will give him back. That is not the way.
Right. So I just want this same question to go around the rest of the panel as well, because it was a question from Kumud in Jabalpur, which is at the bottom of the screen. Panelists, who is at fault? Can we come to one conclusion and question that authority? Swapnil?
As rightly what Abha pointed out, that it is there with the Home Department, and that is under the aegis of the Chief Minister. When there is a report that comes to me of a celebrity, especially with so many paroles and so many furloughs, and just for the benefit of the viewers, furlough is a matter of right given annually for 14 days for a person who's convicted between 1 and 5 years. And parole is absolutely a matter of discretion. So there is more paroles and than furloughs. So especially when something of that nature comes to me with the report saying that this person needs to be remitted for his good behavior, behavior, the first thing that I would do if I was in the position of a chief minister is at least investigate as to what is happening and why this report has been made and why this, is it not a preferential treatment? If it is not, then I would sign upon the release. But then if I do not even go into that case and I just go ahead and, clarify and, just pass the report and ignore all the other 400 or 500 other cases who have been there in similar situations. And Faye, one more thing, parole is granted only in the case of exigent circumstances like death, sickness, etc. of that nature. It is not granted, it is not a matter of right. So this is something which should have rung alarm bells in the first place itself. And it should not invite so much public hue and cry in the first place if you want to ensure that the citizens in this city, in this great city of yours, are treated equally. But this has not happened.
Dhanraj Sahab, do you believe that this responsibility lies with the Home Department finally, or is it the jail authorities who are to be held responsible?
Finally, it is Home Department, because jail authority is working under the Home Department. Jail authority passes the order as per the report submitted and asked by the jail authorities. Here the whole system is like that. Government is coming with that. If this thing will happen, we will do that. Today, the government pleader, Advocate General, when pleaded in the court, said, when court asked, what is the meaning of parole? He said, I have gone through the Google search, see the state of affairs, a mockery of entire judicial criminal jurisprudence system in this country. And he said, this is a reward, a sort of reward. Reward for what? Joining hands with criminals, terrorists, joining hands with the people who has been convicted for death penalties. Joining hand with what? Possession of weapons.
So tell me something, Dhanraj Sahab, when you were part of the team that actually made this arrest back in the day, how much political pressure came on to you to go easy?
For arrest, there was no pressure, but afterwards, higher-ups were well aware what kind of pressure they were passing through. But entire investigation was done in a proper fashion. What happens? Every investigating agency with his report has to go to the judiciary. In judiciary, the segregation was made. He was only held responsible for the possession of weapon, and he was absolved from the entire criminal conspiracy of that bomb blast. This is a big question in the mind of today, in the mind of police officer, not only police officer, but in the mind of people of this country. Why this man has been absolved? Had he acted simple, making call to police that such thing is going on, we would have stopped death of 287 people of this society. Is this a joke or what? Everything is being taken as a mockery, as a puppet. The authorities are speaking, somebody is coming, somebody is talking like this. This is really a very sorry state of affair, I should say. And if court is really inclined to make it, court should have a determination to punish the guilty or to have some more commission and have the entire system revamped and pass some good strictures against what is going on now and what should be the course of action.
So you do believe, as part of the team that made the arrest, that even with the judiciary there is a problem right now?
Of course there is problem. It is seen in the many cases. In Salman's case, people are witnessing many problems. In many high-profile cases, people are witnessing the problem in these countries, judiciary, in these countries, executives, in investigating agency, and many other things. The other day we were discussing on drugs. What is happening there? There are interference. There are interference. High-profile people are always getting scapegoat. Just take a survey of the jail and see how people are suffering because they do not have any standard of their social and economy. The people who are having socio-economic standard, they have all the ways to get scot-free. This is happening.
Yes. In fact, we have some viewers on the phone line right now. Terence Stevens has called in from Dombivli. Terence, go ahead.
Yeah. Hi, Faye. Good evening, and good evening to all my panelists. I would like to ask a simple question. My question, you or the panelists may find it funny, but this has been going on for a long time. This government is always avoiding the facts. So I want to ask a simple question is, why not the authorities who are in charge of giving Sanjay Dutt this parole and, leniency and 8 months and all, why don't they go back to jail and serve their term and Sanjay Dutt serve a simple community service, doing some community work and helping the poor?
All right. Suhas is also on the phone line from Baroda. Suhas, go ahead.
Hello.
Yes.
Yeah, ma'am, I want to ask you the Shaina NC that as a Sanjay Dutt, as he is working as a celebrity, so why he has been not treated as a normal man instead of as a celebrity? He's been get a more comfort and more luxury in that way. So even if he has whatever he has been say sorry to so many times, but he has to be treated, and government has to take action against these facilities against him.
That's right. And, that's a very good question. Unfortunately to our viewers, Shaina NC is now, had to leave this conversation because she's now part of another television discussion that began a couple of minutes ago. But I'm taking this question to Vikram Singh. Vikram Singh, we just had Mr. Vanjari say something very, very powerful. He said there is a problem with the judiciary as well. It needs an overhaul. The question really here is about the fact, and I'm taking it back to the Chief Minister's office and the Home Minister's office, there is proof now that has been submitted that these papers went to the Principal Secretary. That means they went to Mantralaya. They came to the Principal Secretary's office. It was brought. So it was not even, the fact that we don't know what happens inside of jails is not a good enough excuse. It was brought to the Principal Secretary's office and he signed on it saying, we approve this 2-day, delay that happened. Absolutely. In spite of all of that, does this person then qualify for good behavior if he has jumped parole and furlough 3 times in his sentence?
Absolutely not. Please understand that the evidence against the sequence of events that have happened. 1, that he was given preferential treatment. 2, that he was given remission. The Special Secretary gave him and condoned the 2 days delay. And then he was picked above the others and given a preferential treatment so that he could enjoy his parole and his furlough, setting aside and sweeping all other rules of the jail manual. Everybody in the system, obviously the Special Secretary was working under the Home Department under the Chief Minister. Therefore, the Chief Minister alone is responsible and fully and wholly responsible. The whole orchestra began from the Mantralaya and the Chief Minister's office had better explain. Any simple, straightforward, honest inquiry or investigation would reveal that the Chief Minister's Secretariat, the Special Secretary who condoned and the jail authorities are complicit and mixed up in the release, the illegal and the immoral release of Sanjay Dutt. Show me the man and I'll show you the rules.
Ramakanth Gaur, what do you believe the reaction of the state government should be at this point if they really do want to serve justice and right the wrongs that have been done?
See, it is time and again, it has to come through Mantralaya. So, Additional Chief Secretary Home or Principal Secretary are the person responsible for this. And Chief Minister, being the head of the department, is responsible for this illegality and the guilty must be punished. But the most unfortunate part herein is that the state government is still defending the privileges given to Sanjay Dutt. Now they are expecting courts to observe something against and then they'll be able to take action. They do not want to take any investigation prima facie investigation at this stage even. They want court's verdict so that they can start investigation. This is something which is alien to the fairness and justice.
All right, we have a couple of phone calls that have come in. Hari is on the phone line from Bangalore. Hari, go ahead. Hari, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I want to firstly thank Mira now for having taken up this issue. It really highlights the case of law and order in this country and how some are privileged. My question is to Shaina NC. BJP is a party that talks about national security and they go to town that they are more worried about national security than any other party. I voted for them. And here we have people like Shaina NC who are close to the Bollywood, who use their office and who have gone ahead and made sure that a criminal like Sanjay Dutt is let a VIP treatment, and you can see what's happening. There are so many under trials in jails. They are under trials. They are lavishing in jails for over 10 years. And here you have a convict on whom the suspicion of being labeled a terrorist was only decided by the courts only a few years ago. How can Shaina NC square the circle?
Absolutely. That's really well said. Harish is also on the phone line from Mumbai. Harish, go ahead.
Yeah, ma'am, like my take was, this being a high-profile case and the media highlighting, we have come to know of the breakdown in the system.
Yes.
What prevents all low-profile gangsters and other people from having taken the same route earlier? Have we any idea? And is the government not responsible? I don't say this government or that government, any government.
Yes.
Someone has to take responsibility or change the laws and ensure that this does not happen again.
Absolutely. In fact, Nitin had data of what the treatment of other prisoners were at the same time. But I'll just take one more phone call. Aditya from Panipat is on the phone line. Aditya, go ahead.
Hello.
Yes, Aditya, go ahead.
Yeah, I would like to highlight the fact.
Yes.
Yeah, I would like to thank Times Now for giving me the chance. I would like to highlight the point that Mr. Sanjay Dutt was lodged in Yarwada Jail, Pune. The capacity of jail is only for 2,500 prisoners, while the jail is having 5,000 prisoners right now.
Yes.
So how can you expect the jail authorities to work on an overcapacity where the capacity is only for 2,500 convicts and under trials, and it is currently lodging 5,000 prisoners right now? The food capacities, the security arrangements which are there in the central jail is only for 2,500 people, and how can one expect that it should be having 5,000 people currently in the jail right now? Is there anybody highlighting this fact?
Totally
and we are only pinpointing one
This
person.
issue has been taken in the Manjua Shetty's murder case.
Supreme Court has taken cognizance of this issue, and Supreme Court is seized of this issue. Supreme Court is undoubtedly taking care of this. This perspective.
So Shaina has joined us again. Shaina, a lot of the questions, were directed towards you when you were not here. People called in to ask, what is the government doing right now to make sure that this sort of VVIP treatment is not handed out inside of jails? Is there a program that the Chief Minister has or the Home Minister has ordered asking for jail authorities to be more careful? Should there have been more vigilance on this particular case?
If you ask me in all honesty, absolutely the jail authorities should have been more vigilant. Should they have viewed this case in isolation as a celebrity case? Absolutely not. This is not about celebrity versus non-celebrity. This is about a wrongdoing of a prisoner who is in jail and purely to meet that punishment. It's imperative to understand at this juncture that when we talk about the systemic flaws and the jail authorities and what they have done, they have only gone by a guideline and a manual which is set in the 18th century, if I'm not wrong. And what are the amendments?
It is 2016, Shaina NC.
Deliberating and discussing. I'm sure the state assembly well, you're probably, I said you probably, I'm not an expert on this, so I will not comment as a legal expert. But whether there should be changes in the jail authority, no, 1 minute. Let me please highlight. What did the jail authorities do? They went as per a manual and they followed that. Now, if the honorable courts came up with a suggestion, what did Devendra Fadnavis as Chief Minister say? That if some laws or some rules have been flouted, we will completely initiate an inquiry, and
Shaina,
we do not want to challenge or question the Honourable Court's findings.
He didn't
and let him be sent back to jail.
The case,
obviously,
the case has been going on for third hearing.
Gives preferential
this was the third hearing. Why not on the first hearing itself? He thought he will get away with it.
And of course, in evidence is the fact that
then the Chief Minister says
that this case was brought to the attention of the Principal Secretary. Now, if the Principal Secretary knew that there are repeated applications right now for for furlough, for parole, that they're overlapping applications, also from that list he must have found out that the application was jumping 200 other inmates to arrive at number 10, number 15 or number 20, that there was obviously a problem. So within the administration, with the Principal Secretary at least should be held accountable for the fact that he looked at this file, that he approved this file, but he did not raise concerns.
Of course, 100%.
Shaina?
I didn't hear that. Sorry, Faye.
Okay, my question was that the file, there is evidence before the court to show us that the file did go to the Principal Secretary's office. He could see the problems in the entire process of granting parole and furlough for this one particular inmate, but he still signed it. So at least individually we know that within Mantralaya there was a problem.
Well, in that case, I'm sure that this the Chief Minister has said that this probe would be initiated. That too would be in the public domain. As I said, if any rule has been flouted, we stand corrected. We are not sitting here on high moral judgment to say that we have done only right or the process of law has been adhered to or not. But we must understand that this is not a case about Sanjay Dutt. This is a case where we have chosen not to intervene or interfere, which is the normal practice when it comes to prisoners being released earlier of their time or late.
No, but I think that...
No, this is very difficult to digest. This response, this reaction cannot be digested, that we refuse to interfere in a wrongdoing. The preferential treatment is given because of corruption of the jail authorities, and as the Home Minister, it was his duty to have called for a report even when Sanjay Dutt jumped the parole for 2 days. That was the report which was put up to Secretary Home and ACS Home. They are all senior IS officers who report to the Chief Minister. So it is these IS officers' action needs to be taken against them also.
Right, and fundamentally, government cannot say that we will not intervene or interfere, because as government, it is your job to intervene. It is your job to make sure that the rules are being followed. It is your job to be vigilant about all cases. Manoharan is on the phone line from Pune. Manoharan, go ahead.
Mirror now has brought up this issue. I am one of the survivors of this Mumbai blast, and what this BJP lady is speaking is completely off. I'm really ashamed that I voted for the BJP, because this person, this Sanjay Dutt chap, is a real criminal. He's a criminal of the first order, and just because of his political connections, he got off smoothly. I'm really sorry about what is happening, and I really wish this fellow is put behind bars for double the time what he's come out. And even when he was in jail, he was always given a remission, or he's coming out of jail saying that his wife is not well, or some stupid reason. And now his wife, or somewhere I can read in the newspapers, they are holidaying in Paris and various other countries, you know. It's a shame, and this government should take this very seriously and put this fellow back in bars.
Right. I have other people on the phone line, but I want Shaina NC as a representative of the government to respond directly to Manoharan, who is a survivor of the blast, who's questioning his own vote at this point. Shaina, do you have anything to say to him?
Absolute empathy, and I can completely understand where he's coming from. Nobody wants to show any kind of, special treatment to Sanjay Dutt, least of all in this particular case, because the Mumbai bomb blast is fresh in everybody's mind, some of whom are directly affected and some who are not. Do we stand corrected? If we didn't, we would not have had this statement in front of the courts today, where we've said that if the rule has been flouted, he should be put back in jail. I don't think you can have more courage of conviction, sir, because sometimes when you wrong, the easiest thing to do is to pass the buck. The state government has said on record, we did not interfere, but if we have done wrong, he must be put behind bars.
Nobody will buy.
And what about the officers who have committed wrong, ma'am?
The question is, why did you not interfere? What about the accountability?
Right, and Manoharan is still on the line. Manoharan, if you can still hear me, was that answer good enough for you?
He's saying this, and I'm really, at least I'm happy, at least he can. But I should say that people who have suffered, and people like me who have just escaped death, we should at least get some kind of a relief, because this fellow is not at all, just because he makes movies like Munna Bhai, MBBS, all this crap. Okay, those movies are nice. He's a good actor, and probably he's managed to act his way and make people feel sorry for him. But he's a criminal, and he has to be punished. And
all right.
He has to be punished exactly like those people who have been involved in this, because he's equally involved.
Okay. All right. Surya Narayan is on the phone line from Hyderabad. Surya Narayan, go ahead.
Yeah, my question to the panelists is that all the panelists on Mirror now, that how do you give him a celebrity status as a convict in Tara and arms case? Well, thousands of people died and named. He was a drug addict. 20 years the case goes on. He's convicted and is given preferential treatment in Yarwada Jail, Pune.
Yes.
And the Supreme Court, which has convicted him, Doesn't it monitor? Do we have any?
Okay, so right. Why are we allowing this to happen when he was convicted of such a serious charge? He was not convicted though of Tara. He was convicted of possession of arms. K.S. Irani on the phone line from Nagpur. Mr. Irani, go ahead.
Yeah, I just wanted to say, yes, served out of 1,000 odd days. He was out 162 odd days, I believe. He has served his days. He was given parole on proper merit, and he has served his. He was a young boy. He made a mistake. Come on, why rub it in? Why get him back to jail? No, I don't
misplaced compassion. Misplaced compassion.
I don't believe anybody on the panelist has not made a mistake when he was young in life. Come on, give him a break, yeah. Means he was young. He was brash. Fine.
Sir, the only gun that I had was a toy gun in my house. That's all.
No, but see, let's and I'm glad we're getting both sides of the view, because this is a view held by a lot of people. And if that's how we feel, then are we then being lenient towards all of the young people who are currently lodged in jails, who might have, made a brash mistake? Mr. Vanjari, is that the view? Do you think that should be the view? If there's a young person who can perhaps reform, we should look at them in that manner. Sanjay Dutt was young and perhaps brash.
This case, and in particular Sanjay Dutt, doesn't deserve to look with that manner, because it is much serious what this gentleman is talking. Is he is not aware of the consequences of the issue, and when he said Munna Bhai, that was all a collective attempt to portray a virtual reality that he is a good man. Like in Salman's case also it is happening. Bajrangi Bhai and all these things is going on, being human and all these things. So this society been always given some picture of virtual reality to overshadow the fundamental reality. And fundamental reality is these people are not only simple but hardened gangsters and criminals having nexus with terrorists who have waged war against this country. Where is the conscience?
No, Mr. Vanjari, can I?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, Mr. Vanjari, I disagree with you there. I do not think possession of arms is different than having a mens rea or an intention to have bomb blasts. The court has absolved him of all the Tara charges, and I'm sure the court knew what it was doing. And, yes, from time to time, the courts do pass erroneous judgments, but in this aspect, the court has not passed an erroneous judgment. The court has absolved him of the Tara case. It only convicted him of the arms case. And I do not think that Mr. Sanjay Dutt is a hardened criminal or a hardened gangster. Those phrases in law have a completely different texture and tenor. So, I think we would, I think as panelists and as the channel, we need to, I'm sure the channel doesn't subscribe to that.
Let me bring in Abha Singh. Abha Singh, going back to what Mr. Irani said on the phone, young person made a brash decision.
One point.
Yes, go ahead.
In fact, now the juvenile age has been reduced from 18 to 16, and clearly grounds that if there is a heinous offence, the child between 16 to 18, a juvenile, would be tried under the IPC. So we cannot condone him, because now the laws are going stricter even for anybody doing a heinous offence.
Yeah, but that doesn't apply. He was not 18 when he had bombs.
The CBI wanted to go in appeal against the dropping. The CBI wanted to go in appeal against the Tara charges. Were dropping of Tara charges. They had asked for permission to go to the High Court, but that permission was denied to the CBI. This is in the file. So he has been getting preferential treatment from day one. And now only everybody is realizing it. Yes. So Tara charges were dropped. Why for him? That time, let us look into that file. That also needs an investigation. Why CBI was not given the permission?
Nitin? The preferential treatment, you have more details of preferential treatment other than just jumping lines and getting, getting leave to leave the jail more often than he should have. Was there more being submitted today in evidence?
No, I have got all the evidence, because I have got the list also, how many cases, death cases has been happening in the jail, but they are not considered for the parole and furlough. In this matter, remission was granted on the ground of good behavior. My client has asked for the CCTV footage, whether really he was working inside of the jail. His application was rejected by saying that Sanjay Dutt has objected to provide you the CCTV footage there where he was working. Why they are not giving when he was working inside? I doubt that whether he was working or not.
There you are.
His application was rejected on the ground that Sanjay Dutt has objected to provide you the CD.
But is he allowed to object to that?
No, jail authority has done this because nobody can do this.
As the panel has been said, this case of his absolving the charges of conspiracy of terrorism and only possession of weapon is also should be reviewed. Possession of weapon is one thing, but how the possession came into being was investigated by police. Was it been given proper attention, proper judicial mind to decide?
Oh, I'm sure it was.
That is a matter of review. We are after judgment of the High Court, we are definitely will move to the Supreme Court to increase to his sentence up to 6 years.
I want to give a moment to Vikram Singh. Vikram Singh, the fact that the CCTV footage of court is not being shared. CCTV footage of jail is not being shared right now in spite of a submission. What does that tell you?
The CCTV footage would be shared if there are any. This is even more incriminating than anything else. It is getting murkier by the minute, Faye, because obviously there are no CCTV footages to show that Sanjay Dutt was doing manual labor. He was gallivanting around the jail at will and partying. And therefore, to say that there is a CCTV footage showing him working would be incriminating because they have none to show. And therefore, the only recluse, because the Act says that you can deny only what you can deny to the Parliament. And surely if the Parliament were to ask this, there is no way that you can deny this display of CCTV footage. I think they must go into appeal to the Commissioner and then they will get the CCTV footage. It is getting murkier by the minute.
It is getting murkier by the minute. We have to wrap up this conversation, but just like people who are famous and powerful and rich are treated differently every day of our lives. While we stand in line and we pay our bills and we pay our taxes, we see people cutting the line all the time. Now information about the fact that these lines are being cut inside of jail after going through the entire judicial process. After that entire process, you've had your day in court. The court has had its say to find out that the jail authorities are still flouting norms because someone might be famous, someone might be rich, someone might be powerful. And this is happening all across the country. This isn't this one specific case or this one specific jail. But in this case, there is evidence to show us that the case went repeatedly to the Principal Secretary's office, that he signed on files that he passed, where he should have realized that there was a problem, that there was preferential treatment. While the government of Maharashtra needs to now either accept or atone, if not of anything else, but the fact that you looked the other way when wrongdoing was happening. Thankfully, the Bombay High Court is hearing the case right now, and justice, as always, will be served. The question is, will the officials who looked the other way and allowed this to happen, or abetted while it was happening, will they also be brought to the book? We'll keep a close eye on this case for you on Mirror Now. Quick break. We'll come back on the other side with more discussions.